He's asking a question, what is the difference between realizing God without any kind of external drug or anything but bhajan, and the realization of God was bhajan? Is that what you're saying? Pure bhajan.
Yes, please, is that realization? Dreams, dreams, they also a different category, but that's not meditation. So what exactly is?
No, you're mixing up everything. Because in different yoga schools and different schools of spirituality, what is a niyam in one school is not a niyam in another school. So as you know, there's 3 modes of nature, and there's so many different types of approaches to God according to the mode of nature, the sattva, raja, or tama of the sadhaka. So if we take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a great, if you just take him, you don't accept him as God, but you take him as a sadhu, and he's following a particular path of prem bhajan, raganuga bhajan, and following this gopi bhav, raganuga marg. Sadhana bhakti is Vaidhi sadhana, raganuga sadhana. So his sadhana is raganuga sadhana bhakti, based on all Vaishnava sadhana bhakti. All Vaishnavas, they follow the basic principles. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. Whether they do archan or not, that depends. Many do just dhyan or lilas smaran. So whether you're Ramanandi sadhu or Nimbarki or Gaudiya or Vallabha or Radhavalavi or so many types of sadhus, Vaishnavas are there. Many, many branches and many, many different lines and families. And they have different rules and regulations. In one family, it's against the rule to take pan. Like in Gaudiyas, like our family in Gaudiyas, we don't take pan. But the Radharaman Goswamis and the Radharaman followers, they're also Gaudiya, and they take the pan. Or maybe ISKCON, I think no pan also. So here in the Radhakund, we offer Thakurji, tambul, betel nuts, pan, whatever you want to call it. But then we give it to the grihastis or other people. We don't take. I asked Babaji Maharaj, Pandit Baba, Sri Pandit Baba, I said, what about, he said you can, if there's some long or some clove holding the pan leaf, you can take that. Or if you want, open it and there's some coconut. But you can't, what is coconut and what is betel nut? They're both kind of white, and betel nut is a little reddish and white. So he said maybe there's a kishmish. You can take one kishmish and fold it back up. Better you give intact the full mercy to some, because oftentimes we go to temples and the Pujari in Barsana, Gokul, etc. We give some dan, they give us the tambul, we take it, and within 2 seconds we see someone, and Thakurji's tambul, yeah, it's gone, it's inside the mouth by some Bharatiya Vasi, because this is the most rasik, Madhara Amritam of Krsna Radharani, the tambul prasad. It's very, very rasik and very, very high. So I have a phrase in English, one man's food is another man's poison. Some Prabhupada used the analogy of someone has, maybe it was tuberculosis or some disease, I forget. He was explaining that persons has a very restricted diet because of disease. If you feed them a plate of pakoras, they'll die. Because too much ghee and they can't absorb or digest it. It's like anyone's food is a mahapakora, but for this diseased or sick person, it may be the cause of his death. So the difference in realization or perception of God is basically depends on what is their sadhya. If they are Advaitins, or they're following the path of Advaya Gyan, and they're seeing God as Brahman, Vedanti Tattvavidas Yadtaj Gyanam Advayam Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavanati Shabhyate. In the first canto of Bhagavatam, the Vedantists, the sages and learned rishis, they're saying there's three margs There's 3 ways to realize the absolute truth. Each one is perfect unto itself. It's not a matter of this is higher or that's higher. Right? Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavan iti shabdyate. So it is said by the Shastra, Shruti, and Praman, Upanishads and Shruti, you can realize God as Brahman, or as Paramatma, or as Bhagavan. So we are Vaishnavas, so our path is the Bhakti Marg. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was the exemplar, the perfect guru, acharya and bhakta. Of course he's Bhagavan, but he's a very special descent of the Lord, or a descent of Bhagavan, because he's Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Bhav and Kanti of Radharani. He's Krishna Sarupam. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, he says he has the duty, Bhav of Radharani and duty. Krishna's coverage, the final line, he says, Krishna Sarupam. He is Krishna Sarupam, fully. Jagadguru Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he's not, sometimes people say he's half Radharani, half Krishna. It's not exactly precise understanding, because Radharani is fully represented in Gaur Leela as Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit's Sarup, and his Sarup and Bhav is also Radharani. So in Navadvip Leela, and Navadvip Leela of Mahaprabhu, when he was growing up, and the beginning of Sankirtan Leela, then he was 16 or 17, married Lakshmi Priya, then he married Vishnu Priya, and like this, that whole, all that entourage and all that whole experience of Navadvip is in fact, that is the Astakalya Nitya Leela of Gauranga. So in that Astakalya Leela of Gauranga, the Puri Leela and traveling of South India, that's part of the Nitya Leela, because that's also Nitya. But when you meditate, if someone meditates on the Astakalya Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's no pulling Rathi Yatra cart and touring South India and visiting the Shringa temples and Shiva temples. That's in his another compartment, in the Puri, in that aspect of his Nitya Leela going on in the material world. So there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing the ideal example of the Vaishnava, Radha Krishna Bhakta, who's following the path of sadhana to attain the sadhya of Krishna Prem, Radha Krishna Prem in Goloka Vrindavan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he observed Ekadasi Vrat. The Radha Vallavis, they don't observe Ekadasi. They don't offer Tulsi to Krishna on his feet, or because they say, oh, she's a Sakhi, why should she be on his feet? And they have their own idea. So we follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived a perfectly pure life. When he's showing the example of the ideal, I said he's a combination of Bhakta and Bhagavan, and he's not only Krishna Sarupam, but he's carrying the Bhav and wants to learn about and relish the taste and happiness of Radharani's Mahabhav, Onat Ujjvala, Prema, this highest pitch of Madanaikya Bhav. So in his actual achar and behavior, totally pure, observing all Ekadasi, and ladies would be so far away. He's sannyasi, vairagi, sadhu, a Vaishnava sannyasi, a Vaishnava, if you want to take it on that aspect of showing the example as the ideal perfect devotee. Because sometimes he's totally in his Krishna Sarupam. As I mentioned, Navadvip, when he's Krishna Sarupam, and then they go on the Shiva Sangam, and the evening kirtan, afternoon kirtan, just like we have Madhyan Leela, Radha Krishna, Radhakund. Then we have Ratri Leela in Vrindavan, or anywhere. It can be Chandra Sarovar or Gavarvan or anywhere. Generally, Ratri Leelas in Vrindavan, Jamuna Pulin, Dira Shamir, and Rasastali, and then the Nidhiban Sevakund. This is Ratri Leela. So there, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is having a Sankirtan Vilas, it's called Ras Vilas, Sankirtan, then he's 100% Krishna Srupam. Now how is he half Radharani, half Krishna? If he's half Radharani, half Krishna, how is he supposed to relish as Krishna? How is he supposed to relish Radharani's Mahabhav without Radharani? So then Gadadhar Pandit is there. So Gadadhar Pandit is fully, then in the Navadvip Leela, Gadadhar Pandit is fully Radharani, Sarupam. And all the Vaishnavas, it's Julan time, it's Shravan Maina in Navadvip, and it's Julan. So everyone knows in Vrindavan during Julan, Radha and Krishna are swinging on the Julan. Radha Julana Padaro Juki Ai Badara. There's so many nice songs. I have famous, popular songs, recording in Hindi and Bengali, many. So they in the Pushpodhyan, in the beautiful Sadrituvan, the six seasonal forest of Srivas Thakur's estate, big estate. One forest is a springtime forest. So there, is the autumn forest, Shravan. So then Gadadhar Pandit and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they sit them on a flower swing and decorate them, and they're throwing flower pollen over them, and different Brahmins and Jagannatha Pandit, and they're pushing back and forth, and Srup Damodar and Rai Ramana, they're all singing, right, because there's a Nitya Leela, but just say there, Srup Damodar is singing bhajans. What type of bhajans? Ras Leela bhajans and Julan Leela of Radha and Krishna. So then they give tambul, some of the associates, they give tambul to Gadadhar Pandit. And Gadadhar Pandit is sitting in Radharani's position, fully Radharani Sarup and Bhav. Then Gadadhar offers the tambul and Mahaprabhu takes. And everyone's relishing. So how is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu half Radharani, half Krishna? Anyway, people say. So when he's teaching as a devotee, he's teaching a pure sadachar, Shuddh sadachar. No gutka, no charas, no bang, no LSD, no cocaine. There's a long list of